right, the next segment, we're going to get into a little bit of Alligator Alcatraz. It's been all over the news recently. It's a detention center in Florida. What part of Florida is it in?
Everglades.
Dade County or something? The Everglades?
That's
Dade
Miami,
County?
Dade / Everglades.
And they built it primarily to house illegal immigrants that got scooped up, and they can stay there until they have their hearings to determine what they're going to do from that point. So they said it's kind of a very short-term detention center, anywhere from days to typically a week or two, and in a very rare case into a couple months. Okay. So the people that are going to be, I believe they've already occupied it, right? I believe they've already shipped people in.
There are people in there.
And they've already been protesting outside. But if you look historically at where they've housed these illegal immigrants, this is probably one of the nicer centers they put them in. As far as access, as far as food.
It says they can...
Well, it's just tents and chain link fences.
It says it can hold about 3,000 people. And
that's their max capacity is 3,000.
It was supposed to be 5,000.
No, 3,000.
It has flooded once already.
Well, they're in the Everglades. So at least they got a lot of labor in case it does flood again. And I guess someone said they have like 1,000 employees there.
And they said the facility's inhospitable nature is a selling point for the proponents of it, because that if people break out of it, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons.
It's just like Alcatraz.
Yeah,
they say if you break out Alcatraz, you're basically screwed. You might as well just stay there.
Nowhere to hide. You're
Now,
taking
They said
chances.
it's alligators, pythons, and mosquitoes. So
Mosquitoes. That'd probably be
nice.
one of your primary concerns, because you're more likely to run into mosquitoes than one or the other.
Yeah.
But it sucks that we need something like this, but I think it is needed, unfortunately, because they were putting them up in like hotels in Manhattans, and it was costing taxpayers like millions of dollars.
Well, it does say here that the projected cost for this a year is $450 million,
which is like chump change compared to what they were spending housing them in the high-end hotels.
So can I let me ask it this way though, because I don't want to sound like I'm one of those people that wants them, out in the Everglades with the pythons and alligators and things like that. I don't 100% agree with the pickup methods that we're doing at the moment, but for argument's sake, they are being picked up, by ICE. Why are they being kept for any kind of extended period of time if the goal is to get them out?
Well,
because they have to have their
hearing.
Due process.
Yes, once they get due process, but it's not as quick as you would think it is. It used to be years.
Again,
well, you know what? That part of this story, a small part of it, is that DeSantis was talking about deputizing, what was it?
Sheriffs?
National Guard to hear cases and speed up the deportations.
That's their main goal, is to get them in and out as quick as possible.
Again, I'm not saying I agree with this myself, but if I'm going with this logic, isn't the understanding that if they're not citizens, they are not subject to that due process?
No, anybody, if you're on our soil...
I personally believe that, but, some would argue that
but if you're in
not
the United
being a
States,
citizen doesn't entitle you to those rights.
Right. I know what you're saying, and I kind of... Why are they be given our rights when they're not even citizens and they broke the law to get here in the first place?
But
right.
That hasn't been proven yet. Like, say I get picked up by ICE.
Okay.
They haven't proved anything yet. I am a citizen.
I would imagine.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. The rationale has to be, though, if someone somewhere gave the directive of, hey, this crew go to this city, place, time to pick up this person, you need to be having information and evidence to say, Art Pape, I'm pulling you out of your car and taking you.
No, well, here's the thing.
That's true.
If they say,
they're not just willy-nilly doing
if they say you're not a citizen, now I'm just using myself.
Which is
I don't have any proof on me that I'm a citizen.
Yes, you do. You have a driver's license, New York State driver's license.
That doesn't prove that it's real or anything. I don't have my birth certificate on me. I don't have any of that. I don't have my social security number on me.
But like I think what Nabil's saying is there has to be something saying that they are going to go into this area and get these people.
But they have picked up U.S. citizens.
Very rarely. It's very rare.
So yes, they have.
But I don't even think they get to a point where they would end up in a place like this. Once they pick them up in whatever local area they I've never heard of one case where a U.S. citizen got put in a detention center.
And there haven't been any shipped out. I don't think.
I thought when we first started talking about this stuff, we had that one guy.
No, the one guy you're talking about, he actually had a deportation order, just not to El Salvador. Because of the gang he was in, they were worried about him getting killed in the prison, and they sent him there anyway. That's what everybody.
messed up, right.
Well, yeah, but you know what? That guy was a scumbag, so I could care less what happens to him.
All I'm saying though is before the procedures happen, they haven't proved anything.
Right.
No.
They have to have just cause to get you in the
So
first
you have
place.
to have
Yeah.
the.
And if you happen to be hanging out with a bunch of illegals, they might scoop you up in that little, which you do
I
frequently.
look relatively.
You look very
illegal.
Mexican, so I don't. once
That's
you
why
get
I
in
was
there,
using myself.
That's
because
smart. That's a good example.
People say I am alien.
They say a lot of things about you.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
But so
I mean, I don't think anybody loves the methodology, but like we were saying in a previous,
I think Art is safe. I haven't heard about Ice and Floyd.
no, not yet.
Oops,
Floyd, New
now
York,
you just outed me.
Rick.
Thanks. They're going to be there.
But as we were stating before, I don't think anybody loves how they're doing it. But I think if they drag their feet, it's going to be exactly the way it was before. So he's just doing everything in one sweeping move. It's going to piss everybody off at first. But when it's done, there's not going to be a need for a detention center like this.
Here's one counterpoint I'll bring up too. So we just talked about the other guy, the one who got deported. He had a deportation order, but he was deported to the wrong place. Don't you think that when people hear about that might make them reluctant to cooperate because they think, hey, what if I'm sent somewhere that I'm not supposed to, or I'm detained somewhere I'm not supposed to?
But that was one example, and I think
one is always
they're
more than,
giving
more
them.
than zero.
Don't quote me on the dollar amount,
Yeah,
but to avoid going to a place like this, they can self-deport. Say, okay, I'm going to go back to the country where I'm, and they're going to give them like $1,000
Is
to
that
do that.
still available, or was there
that's
a
available.
limit?
There's no limit. There's no
How do they-
time frame.
So
How do
even
they
today
do that,
you could
though?
walk
So if
in
somebody
and
got picked up,
self-deport.
Yeah.
if somebody got picked up and they're on their way to this Alligator Alcatraz, once they get there, they can say, I'm going to self-deport.
Isn't
They're
that
going to
too
let
late
them go.
then?
Oh,
No.
so
Nope.
what you're saying is they only get detained if they're attempting to.
If they want to go through the due process.
I don't believe I should be detained. I'd like a hearing.
Like here, exactly.
Okay.
So those are the only people that are going to end up staying here. If they want to self-deport, they can do that at any point during the process. That's how I understand it.
All right. So this article though that I'm looking at for this does say the immigrants are in a facility that is very inaccessible to lawyers, to family members, and to oversight.
See, they said that they would have more access to lawyers and family than any other detention center they've ever had.
So either they're conflicting because one's true and one isn't, or it's
It was
not the
supposed
case.
to have a
it's
lot of
not the
service.
case
Yes.
yet, but will eventually.
Well, I guess we'll find out. I mean, I know they just opened up, a week or two ago.
Something like that.
And they said they set this entire thing up in record time. So,
Ooh.
and it's nice to have them in one area where they can just concentrate on getting their due process, which unfortunately they are entitled to.
So
And
what?
the $450 million is Florida paid for that. They're being
I was
reimbursed
gonna
by
say,
FEMA.
yeah,
But it's not out of the disaster relief fund. It's
No.
a separate fund.
They said it was.
That was actually set up by Biden.
They said it was set up by Biden to pay for these hotels that they were
Yes.
making them stay at in the first place.
So it's not taking away from the disaster relief efforts. Is
Hold
what
on
I'm
a second.
saying.
Wait a minute. Federal Emergency Management is paying for immigration housing?
Well, it's a federal emergency.
Yeah. They've
And this-
been,
and like
like I
oh,
said, this was set up under
This
Biden.
entire thing was
He
set
made
up
a
under Joe Biden.
declaration.
No, this was all Biden.
Right. But I'm saying there was a declaration that it was an emergency immigration problem in order to fall under that. It's such
I
a,
think they had
such
to.
a-
They would have had to do that beforehand because if he's pulling money out of the account that Biden set up to let these people stay in
No,
hotels,
I'm not saying Trump. I'm saying
Right.
so
No, I know
whoever
what you're
did
saying.
it had to make an emergency declaration.
I would
so if it
assume.
was
I don't
Biden,
really know how it was done at first. It was probably an emergency declaration saying we don't have anywhere to put these people.
Right.
Let's set up a fund specifically for them to be housed while they wait for their hearings.
Or allocate from an existing fund, aka
Right.
FEMA.
So this way,
It-
the way Trump did it, I think was very smart. He took the money that was already there, already allocated for these illegal immigrants, and he took just that money to reimburse Florida for building this detention center.
Okay.
So people that bitch about the money, it was already spent.
Well, also it's over the course of a year. So 450 million
Right.
over a year is
That's
like
honestly as far as how
somewhere
much,
between 30 and 40 million a month.
as far as the billions they spend
sounds like a
usually,
lot,
but as far as the
I
bill,
don't
it's
know.
like chump change compared to what they were spending on them.
Sure. Another point against, I guess, is so the location being remote and isolated is a problem Being in an environmentally fragile ecosystem is a problem. Being constructed with temporary materials will be catastrophic in case of a hurricane.
It's supposed to be able to withstand a category 2, even though it leaked in the first summer storm. But
that's another one of those, like, kind of like the services and the accessibility that I guess we'll see, because I mean, this is summer, so storms are
brewing down there.
Yeah.
Now this is also, honestly, and I'm sure they intended it this way, it's also an influential way for you to figure out, maybe not you, because I think you're legal, but if you don't want to go to a place like this and you know you're illegal and you know you're in the wrong, just self-deport. Then you don't have to stay in a place like that.
Well, I'm looking at the self-deporting. It looks like once they arrest you, it's too late.
That's
kind
of sounded like
the I saw on it was they said if they
this is ICE's website.
Just common sense to me says that, because it's like, maybe they're trying to tell you, like, you need to self-deport now, because if we find you, then it's too late.
Well, this is their website, and it says if ICE officials arrest you, there's no going back.
Okay. See, that makes sense.
And it says you don't have to turn yourself in; just leave the country. You don't have to officially say I am.
Does it say how much money they give them to self-deport?
How do you get the $1,000 or whatever?
I think I'd have to look.
Because at that point, then you're telling them you're illegal, and then they probably show up and take you, so then I have to give you the money.
It doesn't say anything about the money here.
Yeah, that might have been clickbait, buddy.
Hold on, I'm looking.
I'm not saying that you don't. I just don't see it here.
It just also kind of sounds like to me like
the U.S. government is launching an initiative that offers incentives for individuals without legal status in the country to self-deport. I mean, it is $1,000 too. It's called a $1,000 exit bonus.
Okay.
So it's not clickbait, buddy.
So how do you get it?
Well, yeah, how do you get it though?
I mean, this is I don't know if it's gonna. This is a long ass explanation. Cost-free travel they get. The government covers the cost of travel back to the individual's home country or another country where they have lawful status. $1,000 exit bonus. A financial stipend of $1,000 is provided upon confirmation that the individual has returned to their home country. So they must get it when your
so
plane
it doesn't
is
help
landed.
you get home.
But it just says you get cost-free travel. Is the first thing.
Yeah. So then you would have to turn yourself in, though, to get the cost-free travel.
Yes.
Obviously, if you just take yourself home.
Forgiveness of failure to deport fines. So I guess there's fines if you stay in the country illegally. And deprioritization for ICE enforcement. Non-criminal individuals who register through the app, may be temporarily deprioritized for detention of enforcement action by ICE.
Well, and I'm sure that's case by case. So if we're coming to arrest you because we know that you're a criminal, then and doesn't matter that you told us that you're willing to self-deport.
Well, it says if they go right through the app and say that they want to deport, then that's when they're entitled to all these incentives. It's pretty funny how they set up an app for it.
But it's funny that the ICE website doesn't say anything about it.
Well, that's a government. You know how government does shit.
U.S. Immigration and Customs. Yeah, I mean. But my only thought, like when I said that though too, was like say you're Trump, right? We're not talking about the Elon thing, but like the whole point of having him in there before was to help clean up like wasteful spending, right?
Yes.
So is it more?
You're talking about Doge?
No? Well, yeah, but what I was gonna say was like, does it make sense to give $1,000 a piece to immigrants that want to leave, or does it make sense to? Or maybe that's weighted against the detention cost. Maybe $1,000 is chump change compared to what it will cost to house.
I think what they're spending on this is chump change compared to what they are spending.
If it's costing $450 million to build one detention center in Florida,
well, that math is doable.
Well, for a year to run it for a year, then $1,000.
I can't see it costing that much once it's set up per year.
I mean,
well, that's what it says. It says per year.
That's the figure
that's
that
how
they
much
put
they're
out,
allotted.
Though.
No, it says the cost.
But just like the local prisons get a certain allotted amount they can spend per year, doesn't mean they have to spend it.
All right, so
it says the approximate cost is $450 million a year.
So $450 million divided by 12 is $37,500,000 per month, and then you divide that again by 3,000 because that's what it said that they could house. So it costs per month $12,500 per inmate there if they were at capacity.
So was a hotel more than $12,000 a month?
month?
Well, they're probably getting a lot of people to leave without even having to go there. How many have they deported so far? You know what I mean?
A lot. I don't know the numbers.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I
think that someone would be more likely to stay in this country illegally if they knew they were going to be at a 5-star hotel.
I would say your average hotel probably costs about $200 a night times 30 days is $6,000. But again, that's just a hotel stay. It doesn't include food, which FEMA usually gives you like Visa gift cards to pay for food.
Well,
they usually give you a cell phone. The cost was probably comparable, but
They said that the cost in 2023 for illegal aliens in this country was $66.5 billion.
Billion, huh?
Yeah. So like I said, that seems like chump change in comparison to the overall cost. And it's also an incentive for them not to even bother going to that if they can self-deport.
Do we know what the number that they claim the number of illegal immigrants in the U.S. was?
At the time?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have no idea. I'd have to look that up too.
Because I could math that again.
Doing some math on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
So how many illegal immigrants in the country as of
2023?
Many.
2023.
Yeah, well, that's what this
the stat was.
66.5 billion, which would be.
All right. As of 2025, the estimates suggest there are around 14.8 million illegal immigrants in the United States.
I mean, but if you're saying they were deported, in theory, you would add more 2 years ago.
You would think there would be more 2 years ago, yeah. Let's change that to 2023 and see what we got going on.
Yeah, I'm curious.
11.7 to 13.7 million in 2023.
That sounds like less.
But there was a big surge the last 2 years of Biden's presidency. They said they were having like 10,000 encounters a day at the border.
2023 was
2023 and 2020.
The second to last year of his presidency.
So he had 2 years left. He basically had two full years, 23 and 24, plus it partially into 25.
I mean, even if you round, so you go with the high number, you go 13 million. So divide 1 3 0 0 0 0 0 0. Come on. How much did they tell you that it costs per immigrant?
What
did the number say? Before you said like it cost. Oh, they just gave you an overall. They said
an overall
66.5.
cost. Yeah.
So if you math that, it cost roughly $5,115.38 per immigrant
per
year.
Per year.
Yeah, I mean if the number was 66,500,000,000, 66.5 billion.
Well, I think something like this is necessary. Unfortunately, if we want to get serious about
they definitely have to house the people somewhere.
Yes.
I mean,
and the previous camps they used under Obama
those weren't good either.
Those were horrible. They said it was like living in dog pens, basically.
Oh, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, so it was really bad back then, and unfortunately, we need something like this because it has gotten so out of hand. So, if this ultimately leads to proper immigration into the country and people achieving legal status in a more efficient method, I think in the long run it is positive.
It says here, I just was looking at, I just did a Grok search to see, but it says that they've deported approximately
not a Croc search.
Over 200,000 people since Trump took office.
What's the average? I mean, before so we can pull up
I don't
all
know
these
about
numbers
before that. But 200,000 is more than I thought.
That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people, but in comparison, who the hell knows?
And compared to the millions that you're talking about, it's going to take many years.
Bucket, right?
Yeah, but
I mean, if it was only that many people this year, I mean, I don't know I don't know what that article was talking about in terms of cost, like where these costs are coming from. Is it like government spending? Is it like what is it? But wherever that money is being spent, at 200,000 people would work out to 1.02 billion. So
right.
1 billion 23 million.
Yeah.
That was 1.02 billion.
Well, because they do. Yeah, because
this is why we don't do a lot of math on the show.
Well, right, but 1.5 billion would really be 500 million, which it's not. So
1 billion 23 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So
230 million or
that
23
would be
million?
23 million. Saved wherever these costs are being incurred.
Right.
So
I don't think we're going to know really if this was worth it or not until like a year from now. But I think a good telling sign.
I think a 10-year look back would probably yield you better data.
Well, we should have about 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers by then. Jesus, 4 or 5 years,
or
10 years.
or the immigrants that we're talking about who don't like it will have found us by then.
Oh, that's true too. We are in favor of legal immigration. You know, for all you legals.
I'm in favor of birthright citizenship.
That's just because you're close.
It's because I am one.
No.
We get it.
Yeah. No, we get it.
We're not saying anything.
But I think a good telling sign of how illegal immigration is being handled is just the fact that people aren't trying to cross the border anymore. They're making it.
Those numbers are staggering.
They're like
we talked about that on
95%
another one.
lower than they were the previous years. Yes,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So tens instead of thousands. So I think that's a good sign. And if this, I think, maybe influences a couple people to self-deport and not go through this process, and then maintain the ability to come back into this country legally, I think it's worth it.
That seems to me the main benefit of self-deporting is that you are, because anybody deported is not allowed back into the country legally.
Correct.
But, so if you did this, you would have the
ability.
You'd be allowed back into this country at some point once you do it the proper way.
I would like almost wonder if you are somewhere on the process already and you get scooped up, if maybe it would behoove them to at least look and see, if they're doing this case by case hearing stuff, like, okay, hey, you applied, you're in the middle of it. Why don't we split the difference and call it time served? And like let you keep going on the process. Versus
people
the ones
doing
that
the
are just
process
like
legally, they're not illegal.
Well,
that's true.
But until you're fully a citizen, I guess you could be.
But if you're legally in the process, you're not going to go to a place like this.
Hopefully.
Ideally.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't heard of any cases where that person would be in a detention center.
And I hope that's the case.
Well, like you said, the government does not perfect.
Right.
I mean, they do make
not.
mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
But they're doing the best they can too. And this was I think the number one thing that Trump was elected on was illegal immigration.
He made this promise and he's working on it.
He's been trying to fulfill everything he said.
Good or bad, like him or don't like him.
Right.
I mean, he's doing the work on it.
He's probably the first politician that actually followed through on every campaign promise he made. Good or bad, whether you like it or not.
He's absolutely trying.
He's trying to do everything he said he was going to do.
I think I need a fact check on that one, but I would definitely give him. I'd say that he's closer to that title than probably anybody else.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. They just did a recent poll. He's like one of the. He's raising in popularity because of the things he's been doing.
You mean he's the most popular president in the history of the univer's?
Well, according to him,
I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm the best president.
Best president ever. George W. Who? George Washington. What?
There's nobody better.
Yeah.
So Washington I guess was nothing.
We will see how this plays out. I mean, I'm in favor of it.
The Washington Post
they had a second
was
one
quoted as saying that I was the best president ever. Obviously, I'm the one who gave the quote, but that doesn't matter.
Quote's a quote.
Oh my God.
So yeah, we'll see how it plays out over the next few months, maybe years, and I think if we can get people in this country the way they should be coming into this country, and they want to assimilate, this is a problem I have too. These immigrants that come into this country but don't want to let go of the ways of the country they just wanted to abandon.
No, when you say coming, do you mean COMING?
No, just coming into the country. This isn't XXX fucking Alligator Alcatraz. So they come into the country and they want to be an American and act like an American. And when you have Flag Day, you put out the United States flag, not a Mexican flag. Because if Mexico was so great, why did you leave in the first place?
Did you know I won an essay contest for Flag Day when I was in 6th grade?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Essay
impressive.
It was about why I thought the flag and what it represented, was freedom and what freedom meant.
Wow, look at you. Mm-hmm. You're a patriot.
I read that essay in front of a bunch of veterans at a town park in Sequoit because I was going to Sequoit Elementary at the time.
Look at you. You're
a
celebrity.
But here's the question.
Topic like we usually do. But
no.
Did you ever hear Gene Simmons talk about the United States? Because he emigrated here with his mother from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You mean Chaim?
He comes to tears talking about how great this country is.
Them are the immigrants that we want in this country.
His real name is Chaim.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one and only thing I'll say about that though is what if I won because of DEI?
Wow. Well, you could be too.
I
don't think it was
that makes more sense than you.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like you would do too good on a report, honestly.
No, we just saw your math skills.
They were pretty good.
1.8 trillion billion
shazillion. Is there a shazillion? Is that a number?
Listen, I've told people many times I'm not that kind of Asian.
Oh my God! You play the violin. Oh my God! We're going off topic hard again.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Alligator Alcatraz, everybody. Look it up.
Giddy up.
Woo woo.
Rare. That was the alligator.
Oh, good one.
Honestly,
I bet that doesn't stay in.
That's staying in. Thank you for watching Two Studs and a Dud. Please like, subscribe, and share this video.